Hey there, book lovers. Have you ever been hit with a question that feels bigger than life? Well, buckle up because today we're answering one of the most iconic queries in literature. Who is John Galt? Atlas Shrugged, penned by Ayn Rand, plunges us into a dystopian America. Picture this: society's crumbling, government control is tightening, and the brightest minds vanish. Our protagonists, the dynamic Dagny Taggart and the indomitable Hank Rearden, battle against these odds, trying to keep their dreams and businesses alive. Now, the powerhouse behind this literary giant, Ayn Rand, wasn't just weaving a tale. She was laying out her philosophy of objectivism. Simply put, it's a shout out to reason, individual rights, and self interest. Think of it as the anthem of the underappreciated genius or the relentless entrepreneur. But there's a little more to it than that. At its core, objectivism champions the pursuit of one's own happiness through reason, self interest, and hands off capitalism. It's like saying, hey, you do you, but do it rationally and responsibly. Yet, every philosophy has its critics. Objectivism might be too self centered, sidelining the value of helping others. Others think it's too heavy on cold logic, forgetting the warm, fuzzy side of human emotions. And while it loves the idea of a total free market capitalism, naysayers warn that this might tip the scales in favor of the mighty, leaving all the little guys behind. Whether you're a fan or a skeptic, objectivism gives us a lot to chew on. But let's tackle the million-dollar question. Who is John Galt? In Atlas Shrugged, that question, who is John Galt, it's introduced early in the narrative. It first appears in the opening scene, setting the tone for the mystery and the societal disillusionment that pervades the story. The novel begins with Eddie Willers walking through the streets of New York City. He comes across a beggar, and in a brief exchange, when faced with the deteriorating state of the world, the beggar says, "Who is John Galt?" The phrase is presented as a colloquial expression of despair, and at this point in the story, neither Eddie nor the reader knows the significance of the answer to the question. As mentioned earlier, it's used like someone might say, "Who knows?" when confronted with an unsolvable problem or mystery. And this initial introduction serves as a foundation for the recurring theme and mystery surrounding John Galt, and it piques the reader's interest in his identity and significance in the unfolding narrative. But we still need to answer the question, who is John Galt? Well, literally, he's a genius engineer who's fed up with the world that's leeching off its best and brightest. So what does he do? He convinces them to go on strike. Yep, the world's most brilliant minds just clocking out. Galt's idea to initiate a strike of the minds stems from his experiences at the 20th Century Motor Company. While working there as an engineer, Galt designs a revolutionary motor that can harness ambient static electricity, an innovation that has the potential to transform the energy industry. However, the company owners decide to run the business based on a new collectivist model. From each according to his ability to each according to his need. Workers are compensated based on their needs rather than their contributions, and their profits and benefits are distributed accordingly. As the system begins to fail and workers start taking advantage of it, Galt gets pretty bummed. He witnesses the destruction of creativity, productivity, and individual achievement, and recognizing this collectivist approach has flaws and injustice, he takes a stand. His response ends up being a silent intellectual protest, but it has a lot of power. He swears that he will stop the motor of the world, meaning he will halt the forces of intellect and creativity that drive progress. He resolves to demonstrate to society what happens when its thinkers, innovators, and producers are neither respected nor rewarded for their contributions. And to do this, he starts approaching the most brilliant minds across various fields, convincing them to go on strike, to withdraw their talents and innovations from a society that takes them for granted. They retreat to a hidden valley called Galt's Gulch, where they can live and work in an environment that respects individual achievement and free market principles. And while this sounds like Kool-Aid cultish, John Galt's strike is essentially a form of resistance against a system that penalizes success and rewards mediocrity or failure. He aims to show the world how indispensable these brilliant minds are to functioning and being prosperous. Yet, I still need to thoroughly answer the question of who is John Galt, because that question is about far more than the man himself. So, why is this question such a big deal? First, it's a symbol of despair. Remember how "Who is John Galt" initially surfaces as a colloquial expression of hopelessness and resignation? Throughout the deteriorating world of Rand's narrative, this question captures the overwhelming sense of futility that the characters feel. When faced with insurmountable problems, societal decay, or the sheer weight of bureaucratic inefficiency, "Who is John Galt" is the go-to. It's like saying "who knows" or "why even try?" Instead of seeking solutions or facing challenges head-on, society has adopted this defeated mantra, symbolizing its broader descent into despair and stagnation. And this recurring motif underscores the prevalent atmosphere of desolation and the need for a new approach or savior to break the cycle. Is John Galt that person? That leads us to another function of the question in the novel. It's a mystery element, just like you'd wonder who did it in a crime novel. In Atlas Shrugged, you're always guessing, who is this guy? And from the get-go, this question hovers unanswered, casting an air of intrigue over the narrative. As society's luminaries and achievers disappear, the urgency to identify and understand this elusive figure amplifies. Is John Galt behind these disappearances? What is his intent? And as the story unfolds, the tantalizing glimpses of Galt's influence and machinations create a suspenseful quest for his identity. This mystery element serves as a driving force and a metaphorical exploration of the search for meaning and understanding in a crumbling world. The question morphs from a mere expression of despair to a vital enigma, making the unraveling of John Galt's identity central to the novel's dramatic tension. Who is John Galt is the ultimate representation of a philosophical quest. It's that burning need to find meaning, to understand the why behind the chaos. At its core, the question invites an exploration into the nature and value of human achievement, the role of the individual in society, and the principles upon which a just and thriving civilization should be built. The characters aren't just seeking the identity of a man. They're investigating the foundational ethos of their world. In both his person and his ideals, John Galt challenges the prevailing societal norms, prompting characters and readers alike to question and reflect upon their own beliefs. The journey to uncover the answer to this question mirrors the broader quest for philosophical truth, encouraging reevaluating the principles that guide one's life and society. And in this sense, Who is John Galt is not just about a man, but about the essence of human purpose, freedom, and flourishing. And as the characters uncover systemic societal issues, they want change. Then the question, who is John Galt, begins to stand for a revolt against collectivism. Galt isn't just a person, he's a movement, a call to arms against a society dragging down its brightest stars. And the novel depicts a world where individual ambition, innovation, and property rights are subsumed by the greater good and collective needs. But as the story unfolds, John Galt emerges as the personification of individual resistance against this collectivist onslaught. His call for society's most brilliant and productive minds to withdraw their talents is a direct challenge to a system that dilutes individual achievement in favor of communal equity. In essence, the question, who is John Galt, becomes a rallying cry, representing not just the search for one man, but a larger ideological insurrection against a world that undervalues personal freedom, responsibility, and individual worth in favor of a collective mandate and control. And we're not quite done. Lastly, the question is an affirmation of individualism. celebrating those who dare to think differently, to act on their beliefs, and to stand out from the crowd. In a world that increasingly marginalizes and penalizes the efforts of its most capable citizens in favor of collective conformity, John Galt stands in stark contrast as a beacon of self-reliance, personal responsibility, and independent thought. He represents the pinnacle of human potential when unshackled from societal constraints that demand uniformity. And the quest to understand him, and by extension his philosophy, compels characters and readers to recognize and celebrate the inherent value and power of the individual. Galt's very existence, achievements, and call for a strike of the minds emphasize the novel's core message, that individual creativity, ambition, and reason are vital to human progress and are the fundamental rights of every person. So, the next time you're faced with an impossible riddle or a mystery that's got you stumped, channel a bit of that John Galt spirit. Seek out answers, stand up for what you believe in, and always celebrate the power of the individual. That's all for today, bookworms. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with Learning with Dr. K content. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the meaning of who is John Galt, or any other literary mysteries that you'd like to solve. Until next time.